Hey everyone, long time no see, talk. I am alive. It's been a few years since I've posted. Life has been absolutely brutal in many ways, but I'm still here, still kicking. So we'll just go from there, I guess. So today I wanted to review this VZ61 receiver. So this is from Chefur, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, Customs. Editor's note, it's come to my attention that the owner of this company last name is Schaefer. So I'm guessing that's how you pronounce it. It's just a way of spelling Schaefer. So please enjoy the multiple instances of me very likely mispronouncing that and making myself look like an idiot. Thanks. So he's like the latest guy to come out with a VZ61 receiver. And I wanted to just take a look because it doesn't seem like there's a lot of information out on them. A couple of little grumbles on the internet, on Reddit and stuff about them. But I got one purely for the intention of turning it into a post-sample machine gun. So in all these years I've been gone, I did get my SOT. So I am now in a FFL 7 Class 2 SOT. I can make machine guns and things like that, manufacturer. So that's what I do now as a side business. So going to compare this to the Tortort receiver, the latest generation Tortort, not the earlier Southern tactical ones that are known to be plagued with issues. I'm talking about the latest ones. I just got it less than a year ago at this point. I don't think there's been many updates to it since then. And so I'm going to go over it in general, review comparing them, but then I'm also going to compare it from an SOT perspective. So here we have the Tortort. I have two of these. This one is Parkerized, and I believe this one's a little bit earlier. This is earlier than my other one. This one did not have the rate reducer hole in it. The latest ones do have a pilot hole there for the rate reducer. It doesn't really matter that it's there, and we'll get into that for other reasons as we go through here. But this is the Tortort. Like I said, this is Parkerized. The latest one I got is blued, so there's a difference there. There's a difference between the machining marks and stuff between the two, with the blued one being a bit worse. This one's actually pretty good, pretty smooth and everything. So we're just going to go over things that I have issues with the Tortort receiver. Whether or not they'll matter to you is obviously up to you, but things that kind of bug me, and we'll go over it from the SOT perspective as well. So first thing that really stands out and is annoying is the Selector removal disassembly notch. So you can see on here, I have two. I have, using my little AK firing pin pointer here. There's one here, and then there's one here. I have two. I have two because I made this one here. This hole is where the removal slot is on a factory lower receiver. It is also the notch that's found on the Czech small arms receiver because it follows that. And so I don't have the Czech small arms receiver with me anymore. I sold it. I kind of wish I still had it to do this video just to show the comparison, but the Czech small arms receiver more closely follows the Chefur Customs one, and in that it's more correct towards a factory receiver. But anyway, so for here, why this matters. So let me grab my selector here. So this is a standard military selector. So unlike the Czech small arms, the Czech small arm comes with a plastic selector that's been modified, because this hole here on the Czech small arms is larger. Ooh, dust there. Is larger, and so it would, while you can put it in a factory selector, it's loose in there. And there's things you can do to fix that. People have bushed the hole and things like that, but for most people, that's going to be way more work than it's worth. But so on here, if we were to put the selector in, I'll show first in the actual, like in the factory position, what it would be. So it goes in there, and this is the position where it installs, parallel to the receiver. And so then you install it, and you're good to go. But you can see here already the issue with where the Tortort is. Go here, and it stops before the actual notch. So if you want it to get to, and this is the semi-auto position, if you want to get to the semi-auto position, the upper receiver sometimes helps, but and I'll explain further with that, but with the slop in it, you have to push this, hold this in to get it to go to that position. And kind of the same thing to get it out of that position. And so for the Tortort, the disassembly point would be there where it gets stuck, and then you can pull it out. That is really annoying when you're trying to use the gun, when you're actually trying to shoot it. If the upper receiver, or the interface where the upper receiver matches with the lower, was tighter, like it is on the Czech small arms on the Chefur Custom, so that probably would work a little bit better, because it'll keep that selector pressed in further. But the tolerance up here where it matches is a lot more loose, and I'll show that here later. So it allows that selector to move in and out more, and it wants to get caught and pop out there. So here with the Chefur Customs, again, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but that's the hole. That's the only one there, and that works as it's supposed to. Boom, easy, smooth into all those. And so if you want to disassemble this when the upper's on, because the upper receiver, when it's on, let's see there, it covers that hole, and it covers that portion of the selector, so it can't come out. And you're supposed, if you go past to where it would be, you can't. It wants to cam up. It's trying to cam up here, and the upper receiver is not allowing it to happen. You can kind of see the upper move upwards there and back down. So that's the first thing. That's probably one of the bigger things that I find with it, with the Tortort, that I do not like, that I definitely appreciate on the Czech small arms and appreciate on here, on the Chefur Customs one. And that is something that will affect you whether or not you're building a semi-auto or a full auto gun.
Second editor's note. It's come to my attention, Tortort has updated the receiver again, and gotten rid of this awkward takedown position in the receiver. It is now in the correct position. It seems like you can tell which one will have that if it has the also more correctly designated 0120 markings for the selector versus the safe fire, or the SF, that I have on mine. So that's another one thing that's been updated and looks like you don't have to worry about.
Okay. Next we have, again, this is the Tortort. You'll know it's a Tortort because it has the trigger guard riveted on there already. The second thing that is very annoying to me, and it's, functionally, does it make a difference? No. And probably a lot of this, functionally, the selector thing is more functional. But for a lot of this other stuff, I'm going to say is not so much functional. It's more aesthetic and just detail oriented that really bug me. But for here, it's the bolt hold open cutout. So here we have a bolt hold open. And once it's in, you see this giant hole. I mean, just all this space around it, just huge. That is not present, and it's tight on this one here for some reason. I need to clean that hole out. That is not present on the Czech small arms or on the Chefur Customs or on factory receivers. So in there, it has just a tiny, tiny little gap. Again, does it matter? Probably not. I mean, it's just a place for more ingress of sand and stuff. And I mean, and this isn't watertight on this one either, but it's definitely it follows the contours of it much, much better. Then, on the Tortort, which, you just see how large that is. So the next thing with the Tortort that bothers me, and again, this is not going to be a functional issue. This is aesthetic and just attention to detail. But this radius here, does not match the upper receiver. It matches it on the Chefur Customs. It matches it on the Czech small arms. It matches it on factory receivers, but here it does not. And what you'll to show that when it's installed, there you can see, has no effect on function. And I completely, admit that, but it's annoying. It's annoying to me to see it. So that's not the case with and that's something else. You can see how easily I took that upper off the Tortort, and here I'm really having to get it on here for the Chefur Customs one, but there, you can see it matches the radius much better. And this is how it is on the Czech small arms receiver and on the receiver stubs I have. Maybe I can do an update with showing with receiver stubs, but the Chefur Customs one, they took all the measurements and their cuts and geometries from actual receivers. So it stands to reason that it would match there. But as I was kind of maybe saw with the Tortort, when I put it on and took the upper off, it just slid off really easily. On here, there's a tiny bit of rattle, but not much. But I have to really pop that out. The tolerancers are just much tighter, and that is the same on the Czech small arms receiver. It's tighter tolerance for the upper to lower fit. There's less rattling with it. And so put the Tortort back here. See, I can just, again, it just pops right in and out. It's a much more loose feeling. And when you have the pin in, there's a little bit of rock in the back. It's hard, I can't really show it on camera, but once everything's assembled, though, the bolt puts pressure on the upper and lower, and the magazine putting pressure on things, and it takes up that slop. So again, it's not functionally going to matter. It doesn't really do anything. It's just one of those things I notice and is annoying. Okay, so this might be a little hard to see, but, well, it's there. On the Chefur Customs here, you see this hole. So that is the detent pin hole for the hammer stop pin that goes across here. And I've seen a lot of people ask, like, why when I'm installing parts on my Tortort, I can't get this spring and plunger that goes in here under this plate. It's too long. I can't get it to depress enough to get the plate in. I have to take the detent pin off. And that's why on the Tortort, that hole is not there. It's missing. Now, it wouldn't be a big deal for you to go in yourself with a drill bit, finish out this hole, just drill all the way through. But it's just something to be aware of. It's not there on the Tortort. And so that allows that detent to come up and put pressure on this cross pin, because once the upper is removed, if you just tip this to the side, that pin just falls out. Now, it doesn't mean that all your trigger bits are going to fly out, but it is easy to lose this pin if it just falls out when you're not expecting it somewhere. I have done that. I'd not lost it, but it fell on the floor. I was like, oh crap, and had to go look for it. So that's just one extra detail there that's more towards factory and keeps that pin retained. Again, necessary, so I can use the gun and everything? No, but it more closely matches military guns. And I think it's missing on the Czech small arms too, this hole. I can't remember. All right, so next thing that stands out between the two on the Tortort is the magazine well slop. So on the Czech small arms, the magazine fit in the mag well is very snug. Not so snug that you can't get it in and out easily, but I mean, it is a tight tolerance. It's actually even tighter than the Chefur Customs one. But on the Tortort, when the magazine's in, the fore and aft movement, I don't really care too much about side to side, although it is there, but it's the fore and aft movement, even up here, is pretty sloppy. While on the Chefur Customs, they're just very, very tiny, which that's fine. And there's less left to right movement. I found on my newer Tortort that's blued, that I didn't bring up here because that's out at the shop, but that fit is even worse for some reason. So far, it doesn't seem to make a difference function-wise, again. Although my blued receiver does have more issues, it seems. But that could also be because I'm using an aftermarket barrel in the upper that's threaded, and those things are known to not be the greatest. So I'm not going to fault Tortort for that, because it very well could just be that upper, and I need to mess with it more. Probably just need to swap that upper with one of my known good ones that I have, and then try it out and see. But again, it's noticeable. And it's noticeable when you have it in there, and it's just, again, one of those things that is attention to detail, tolerance-wise, it's just nicer on the Chefur Customs. Next thing that is different between the two, and is something that I notice and bugs me for some reason. It really shouldn't. It has nothing to do functionally, but it is this cut here. This cut here for the tab on the stock, the over travel tab, when you're putting the stock in. So the stock slides in left to right, the detent here locks it in, but it has this extension tab on the stock itself to keep you from over traveling in there. On here, it's this square cut. On the check small arms doesn't have one because it doesn't have a stock provision like that. But on military gun receiver stubs and on the Chefur Customs, you can see here it's radius cut to match the radius cut on the stock itself. So that's how it's done on military guns. And again, it's just more aesthetically pleasing. I know that doesn't really matter, and it's probably not going to matter to most people, which is understandable. But so there's right there. You can just see leaves all this big open slop here. It still functions. It does what it's supposed to do. It's an over travel stop. It stops it from going. But just again, one of those things where I was like, why did when you could have just done it the same way? And it seems like it would have been an easier cut and just come in with an end mill. Straight in, bloop, and out, as opposed to this, which the radius here, I don't know if they came in with an end mill this way and came across, or what. Looks like that's probably what it was, but I don't know. Only Tortort knows that. So there's that. Again, minor. It's a visual thing. It's not a functional thing, but it's a difference. And actually, now that I showed it, that's something when you get the Chefur Customs that's going to be different from a Tortort, is that it comes with this filler plate here for the slot. I spoke with a gentleman at Chefur Customs who did I guess they got a bit more scrutiny from the ATF for including all of the features for the rate reducer. So they did some extra stuff to appease them of, look, this is not meant for turning into a machine gun, into SBR, all that good stuff that the ATF doesn't want you to have any fun with. But yeah, it's just a dovetailed plate in there with a pin that's welded. The weld does not go anywhere near the receiver itself. So just should be no problem to come in here with a Dremel cutoff tool, grind this out, cut that out, knock the pin out, then this plate will slide out. So easy peasy. Obviously I haven't done it, so maybe I'll eat my words with that, but I can't imagine. I imagine this is not hardened steel filler. It's just, plain mild steel and cut that out and no problem.
Editor's note 3. I'm doing a lot of these, it seems. I have since removed that back plate. As I said, it was simple to do. I was fancy and I stuck it in the mill to cut it out. You don't have to do that at all. Once you get past that little weld spot, you can just, as I said, knock the pin out and it'll slide right out. It's not welded in any further. It's not Loctite it in or anything. Once you get the pin off of it, it'll just slide out. Something I didn't mention because it didn't have it done at the time. The stock on the Chefur Custom the stock fitment is much better. It's a much tighter fit. There's no stock wobble with the stock folded or extended. And you can kind of see it in the video when I put the stock on the Tortort that there was a lot of air gap or light coming through the dovetail. It's just a much more sloppy fit. It still functions just fine, but it is a difference.
Now, the big thing that separates the Chefur Customs from the Tortort is the rate reducer cutout features here. The Tortort, the original ones that came out, the Southern Tactical ones and the ones after, the ones under Tortort's own name, originally did not come with the hole for the rate reducer. New ones that come will have a pilot hole through it. It's not the right size, but the hole's already there, and you just open them up for the rate reducer pin. But it does not matter. It doesn't matter that it's there on the Tortort because the Tortort is missing the remaining features in here that allow the rate reducer to function. You can see on mine here, I went in with an end mill trying to cut some of this away, trying to see about how I can make this work. And then once I actually compared it to receiver stubs, I was like, it's not gonna work. So you can see here, it's just an end mill cutout here, and I was trying to just continue it, but it's flat. And these walls here that protrude are shorter on the Tortort. It likely doesn't matter too much because as long as you can get everything in there, but you can't. So on the Chefur, here I'll show you. Let's see if we can see it. I don't know if the light's picking it up very well, but there is a radius cut in here. So like a circular cutter, like a Woodruff or key slot cutter, just, you know, kind of came in T-slot cutter and dished that out in there. So it's not in line with this back wall. It goes back further. So I looked into getting a cutter to do this for my Tortort so I could put a rate reducer in there. But what I was running into was like, it's going to take a custom cutter because to get something that radius in there, it will need a very small shank, like the shank on like this. If this was a shank spinning in there, and that's just not available. I would need to have it custom made, and that would make it very weak as well, the cutter. I spoke to that, like I said, the gentleman from Chefur Customs, just asking about that, and he confirmed that they do require a custom cutter that they sent specs for, and they said that this cut in here is a 30-minute cycle time per receiver. 30 minutes to make this cut because they have to go so slow and just chip away at it to not mess up that cutter because it has a small shank. And I imagine that that's what this cut out here for as well, so it allows that shank to get in a little bit closer. It probably sits like here, comes in this way to make that cut. I could be very wrong. I'm just guessing from my own machining experience, which I'm not a machinist, but I play one on TV sometimes. So the Chefur comes already with the holes correct, the correct cut here, and it's ready to accept a rate reducer. Does that matter for the average person who's going to run this in a semi-auto? No, it does not. For me and other people who like SOT, who are going to make full auto guns out of that to me is a huge deal. That's the big, to me, appeal of the Scorpion is that rate reducer mechanism. It's just so unique, it's so cool, and I want to be able to experience it as it was meant to be. It's still cool to have it, even if you have a semi-auto. It functions the way it's supposed to. You just don't obviously get the rate reducing benefits of it that you would for full auto. But yeah, very, very cool. The fact that they do that special cutter, 30-minute runtime just for that cut, and they offer this receiver at the price that they do is really, really amazing to me, honestly. One thing to point out that I saw in here, notice you can see this pad, welded pad here. I asked, that's not found on military receiver pieces. I asked the guy from Chefur Custom. He said that there was an error with these earlier receivers of theirs where the pistol grip hole is further forward, very small amount than it should be. And so they added that. And this is where the plunger for the rate reducer sits. They added that to compensate for that so that the rate reducer will still function, which, was surprising to me. Not that it's there, but just surprising to me in the sense of this system is so sensitive that it would need that. But in speaking with him, apparently, yeah, the rate reducer system here is actually very sensitive and it needs to be pretty spot on for it to function. So that was just a fix for that. Again, if you're getting one of these receivers and it's just for semi-auto, this doesn't matter to you. For people like me, we're going to turn them into a machine gun. Something like this does matter. Would it be nicer just like, oh, I got one without this? Yeah, sure. But as long as it functions, I don't care. I didn't get this to be correct in the sense of this is just their standard receiver. This isn't a custom receiver from them. They do offer custom with earlier lightning cuts, different types of selector markings, different type of selector notches, Yugoslavian pattern, and things like that. So they offer custom options, and this is just their standard receiver. Buy it. This is how it comes. It's because I don't care for my purposes. So yeah. So really cool that it comes with that. Big respect that they went through, had the custom cutter done for it and everything. The Czech small arms receiver also comes with this. Radius cut does not come with any holes for it. But in speaking with the guy from Chefur Customs, he said that even the Czech small arms ones, even though it has that, it's not correct in where if you drill it for the rate reducer, it will need tweaking because it's not exactly where it's supposed to be. So it's pretty cool to know that, they went through with the research and stuff to make sure that this comes out right. Now, this hasn't been turned into a machine gun yet. This hasn't been turned into a machine gun yet, so I don't know if it's going to function. I'm confident, especially with speaking with him, that it's going to be just fine. He's, even encouraged, oh yeah, turn it into a machine gun if you need help with that, just cool, I'll help you out, in like specs and things like that. So he's pretty confident that it'll work. I'm confident it will as well. And so I'm definitely looking forward to that and getting to try that out, because with the Tortort, and this Tortort has already been converted into a machine gun. You can see here the slot and the hole for the arm is in there. The auto sear arm, trip, whatever, is already in there. So this still functions as a machine gun. It's just in cyclic mode, essentially. It's super, super fast because it doesn't have doesn't have the rate reducer, something to reduce the rate of fire. So it just rips through a magazine in no time at all. Without the rate reducer, if you just put in a full 20 round mag, pull the trigger, let it go, the gun will be empty before the first shell hits the ground. So that's just how fast it goes. It's fun, but it'd be nicer to have it slow down. You can do slow, methodical fire with it and stuff like that. But again, if you're not doing a full auto gun, it doesn't really matter to you. Not really applies. Doesn't really apply. All right. This portion is for the SOTs only. I repeat, the SOTs only. If you don't have an SOT, you're not licensed to make machine guns, do not watch this part. Winky, winky. Or I guess if you're mega based, you can watch it. But so considerations for the Chefur Customs for a machine gun, some of the blocks in place, obviously missing the hole for the spring and plunger for the auto sear arm, missing the slot for the arm to go in, so you have to make those two features. Here, I don't know if you can see it, kind of here. This protrusion right here, this web, has to be machined off completely to make a flat wall to allow the tail of the disconnector to operate. Also here, this wall, this dimension between these 2 points, I believe it has to be opened up, machined back a little bit to allow the sear arm itself to swing, because right now it's in line with where it needs to go, so it's not going to allow it to go in there. There might be some other little machining, tweaking that needs to be done, but those seem to be the biggest thing that I can see. Definitely that web back here, relieving this slightly, drilling the hole for the detent, cutting the slot. This slot here, and I'll show the Tortort. This slot here is traditionally done with a slitting saw, essentially, to go in. You probably could go in with an end mill, just have it sit straight up. End mill comes in, drill or cut that way. It's just clearance so the arm can swing. In fact, here, one second. So this is a receiver stub here that I kind of turned into a cutaway. So this is where the arm for the sear will drop in. And as you can see, it's cut with the slitting saw. So yeah, you could probably go in, do it with an end mill. I find that this works the best. This is a carbide slitting saw. This is a 50 by 2 millimeter, 50 millimeter diameter, 2 millimeter thickness, 16 millimeter bore diameter, 72 tooth. This is, and like I said, it's carbide. I've done a few receivers with this. It's done very, very well, and it's just enough to clear everything. So that's what's needed. It's needed for the Tortort. It's needed for the Chefur Customs. It's needed for the Czech small arms, if that's something you want to convert. But yeah, so you need the hole for the plunger and spring, slot for the arm. And on the Tortort, you also need to relieve the back wall here to allow for the disconnector to sit. Theirs is this whole portion here, it seems like extends past here. So just went in with an end mill, cut that out. Not the prettiest looking thing, but yeah. So with the Tortort, you don't have to do anything else here, side to side, anything here on these sides of the wall like you do on the Chefur Customs. Again, when I was talking about converting to full auto for SOT purposes and things like that, he mentioned they had to add extra things because they were getting some extra side eye from the ATF, I guess, because of the rate reducer stuff in there. So in general, it'll likely be easier, quote unquote, to convert a Tortort. There's less machining in a way. I mean, a little. It doesn't really save you that much, but it does save you a little bit. But you give up the rate reducer. There's just really no way to get one in here without probably very specialized cutters, and making sure all this is done correctly. And like I said, these walls from here to here are shorter than they are on factory examples. So I'm not even 100% sure if that would work out, honestly. But if that doesn't matter to you, you want it to go, pissing hot fast, then hey, Tortor would work out for you. They don't come with that. With this marking, I laser engraved that. It does come with this selector notch for it. So you don't need to put anything there, but I just did. I have a laser engraver, why not? But you'll still have to contend with the incorrect slot here where it stops there. But if you're also only ever going to do full auto, safe and full auto, well, safe and full auto is here. So you wouldn't even be messing around with that spot. But it is, for me at least, very annoying that it pops out there, even with the upper receiver on and everything. So, So all in all, in conclusion, the Chefur Customs versus the available Tortort. I got the Chefur Customs one on their Black Friday sale, so I got it at a discount. I could have even gotten even cheaper because they had a coupon code for free shipping that I completely overlooked. So it's $15 still, but $15 is $15. So even if I didn't get this on the sale, I paid full price for it, I would still say it's worth the money. The quality is very, very good. The features for the rate reducer alone, especially for my intended purposes, it's worth it. It has machine marks like the Tortort does, although that Parkerized one is actually pretty good. But the machine marks match the receiver stubs I have. It's almost exactly the same how these cutter lines go. So I imagine it was likely done to further mimic actual military guns, because that seems to be, something that they're going for, especially with their custom options to match it as closely as possible to your parts kit. But yeah, it's very, very nice. All the parts I've test fit pretty much everything on here, the whole kit to it. All the parts fit very, very nicely. They function smoothly. With the Tortort, that wasn't exactly the case. With this one, my earlier Parkerized one, this one's been fine. The magazine release functions just fine in it and stuff. You saw that the bolt holder was a little sticky. I can probably just go in there with a piece of sandpaper, so clear that out just a little bit. That'll function a little bit better. But on my blued Tortort, this plunger hole was filled with tons of rust. I imagine from the bluing process didn't get washed out well enough, but tons of rust. And so I had to go in there with lots of brass Dremel bits and zip it all out of there. And left chunks of rust in there. Get all that out. There was some blasting grit. And then even once I got all that cleared out, it does not want to run all the time. It gets stuck. So I need to go in there and fuss with it some more. But overall, it's nothing insurmountable. You could do it even if you don't have machines like mills and lathes and crap like I've got. You can do it. With the Tortort, some of them were on sale at Centerfire Systems for I think $250. At that price, especially if you're only doing a semi-auto, I feel like that's a good deal. You can put up with all the little annoyances, and many of those things may not even be an annoyance to you. They just are to me for the $250. But if you're going towards the full price, I'd say spend the little bit extra, and it's not very much more, and go with the Chefur Customs. It's just overall much nicer, seems higher quality, matches military receivers much more closely. Not even just here, but in all other aspects. I'm not even sure what the purpose of this cutout here is for it. Probably not. It's probably just lightning cuts or something. But that's present on the military receiver stubs. Again, it's not on here. And it could be that Tortor just felt, that's not necessary, so why include it? Which, I also understand. So it's just little things like that. But if you don't have a receiver and you can't get a Tortort at the $250 price, I think Centerfire is sold out, and I think they've been sold out. If you can't do that and you're like, okay, I don't want a plastic receiver like from Titus Arms, or you don't want a 3D print one, which is what the Titus Arms is. I want a steel one. Even if you don't want a custom one to match your part stubs and your kit, you just want a bog standard receiver, I would still go with the Chefur Customs. So that's my view on it. You may disagree. That's perfectly fine. I'm, possibly autistic. I wouldn't be shocked in some way. And so little things like all this bug me, like the radius cuts and things like that bug me. And it may not bug you, and you may not care. So, I plan to do another video after I've converted this. I'll probably show removing this plate. I don't think I'll show actually making the conversion. I don't know if that would be allowed on YouTube or anywhere. Well, I guess I don't have to post on YouTube. I can post it somewhere else. So I'll think about it, about just showing machining this out, or just show the after show after, because if you're someone who is in a position where you can start doing all this, you probably don't need me to explain it. You got an idea of how it goes. So anyway, that's it. You got any questions? Let me know. If anything I skipped over you want to see, just let me know, and I will try and do so.